So today we will be covering production possibility curve. This is chapter 4 of the economics syllabus for O levels code 2281 and IGCSE code 0455. Before starting this chapter, we need to understand and recap two concepts. The first concept being the basic economic problem. So far, you all should know that the basic economic problem is that of scarcity, which means that there are unlimited wants but limited resources, that is the factors of production which are land, labor, capital and enterprise, to fulfill those wants. And when we cannot fulfill or satisfy all those wants, it creates the problem of scarcity. When there is scarcity, we need to give up something. So it leads us to the next concept that we need to know, that is opportunity cost. Opportunity cost is the next best alternate foregone by choosing an item. So it is not every other alternate foregone, but the next best alternate foregone. This next best alternate foregone could be in terms of money, like we could be choosing one good over another. It could be in the form of time or effort. We could be opting for something and leaving something else. So now, if these concepts are clear, we can start production possibility curve. In this chapter, we will be covering the definition of production possibility curve, that is the learning objective. We will also learn how to draw and interpret PPC diagrams. We will also see what causes movement along a PPC curve and the opportunity cost associated with it. And we will also understand the causes and consequences of shifts in a production possibility curve. These shifts can be outwards or inwards. Okay, so what is a PPC? What is a production possibility curve? Production possibility curve is a graph. It is a graph that shows the maximum combination of output of two goods that can be produced in an economy at a given time period using all resources. So if you look at this graph here, this is 0. Okay. And now on the y-axis we have burgers. And on the x-axis we have pizzas. So if you see, on point A, what are we producing? We are producing 800 burgers and 600 pizzas. Okay, this is point A. Correct? So at point A, we are producing 800 burgers and 600 pizzas. If we move from point A to point B, that is, if we move from this point to this point, what will happen? We will be producing 700 burgers and 700 pizzas. So what did we gain by moving from A to B? A to B. Okay. If we move from point A to B, first we'll say we had burgers and we have pizzas. Okay. On point A, we are producing 800 burgers and how many pizzas? 600 if you look at the x-axis. And if we move to point B, we are producing 700 burgers. And how many pizzas? 700 pizzas. So if I ask you, what is the opportunity cost of moving from point A to point B? It is 100 burgers. Why? Because we were producing 800 burgers and now we are only producing 700 burgers. And did we lose any pizzas? No, we gained pizzas. We changed our resources allocation from the production of more burgers towards the production of more pizzas. So, production possibility curve also shows us the concept of opportunity cost, that is, deciding between a combination of two goods. Okay, any point on this PPC is efficient. As in, if I take this point, like this would be around 950 burgers and something around 150 to 200 pizzas. This is also an efficient point. So a PPC shows the combination, the maximum combination of two goods that can be produced in an economy. Okay, now, if I produce inside the PPC, let's suppose I produce at point C. What's happening at point C? At point C, I'm producing very less. I'm producing under the capacity. So we can say that this is underutilization of resources, or my resources are idle. This could be because of unemployment in the country or not using the machinery completely. And can I produce outside the PPC? Can I produce 1200 burgers and 850 pizzas at point D? No, because this point is unattainable or unachievable. As in, given the current resources of the country, this point cannot be achieved. So if we are producing at any point on the PPC, it is fine because that is our maximum efficiency. And if we move from one point towards another on the PPC, that just shows that we have changed our resource allocation from the production of one good to another. Okay, so these two goods, the combination of two goods, it can change all the time. It doesn't have to be burger and pizzas all the time, okay? So it can be different every time. Let's move on and we'll understand this further. Let's understand the PPC diagram. A PPC shows productive capacity of an economy. If we are producing at any point on the PPC, it shows our maximum productive capacity. If you look here at the diagram again, if we are producing at any point, we will be producing at our maximum capacity. So a PPC shows our maximum capacity, maximum productive capacity of an economy. If we are producing inside the curve, it shows underutilization of resources. Look here now, this point C, this is underutilization of resources. Resources are idle. Why? Because we are capable of producing more, but we are producing less. So we are only producing 600 burgers and 450 pizzas here, where we could be easily producing 800 burgers and 600 pizzas also. So this point shows underutilization of resources. Our resources are idle. There could be unemployment in the country, or there could be use of fewer resources like machines, etc. Then we are capable of doing so. Points outside the PPC curve are unattainable or unachievable. They can only be attained through trade, but we'll go to that later in the final chapters. But now, here you see this point D. This point is unattainable or unachievable. Unattainable. Why is this point unattainable? Because given our maximum resources, we could only be producing on the curve and not outside that. So that point is unattainable, unachievable. A PPC also shows opportunity cost involved between two types of goods. See, here, the opportunity cost is giving up one thing to produce more of another. Now see, opportunity cost here. At point A, what are we producing? We are producing 800 burgers, 600 pizzas. And at point B, we are producing 700 burgers, 700 pizzas. So, as I told you, in order to produce more pizzas, we had to give up burgers, that is 100 burgers. So, if I ask you what is the opportunity cost of going from A to B, that is 100 units of burgers. A PPC also shows us the concept of increasing opportunity costs, because PPC is a curve. So, see, PPC is curved because of principle of increasing opportunity cost, which means that at the center of the PPC, the opportunity cost is not as extreme as it is towards the corners. I'll show you with an example. Here we just gave up 100 burgers to get 100 more pizzas. But let's suppose we have to go from 700 pizzas to the extreme, that is 950 pizzas. If we go towards this extreme and let's call this point E, how many burgers do we have to give up? So here at point E, what are we producing? How many burgers? Burgers and pizzas, okay? Burgers and pizza. How many pizzas? 950. And how many burgers? 0. Now, in order to get only 250 more pizzas, only 250 more pizzas from point B to E, how many burgers we gave up? We gave up 700 burgers. This shows the concept of increasing opportunity cost. That is, if we want to produce more and more of one good, we will have to give up a lot of the other good. Why? Because our factors are not completely interchangeable. So, the workers or the machinery that was designed to produce burgers might not be as efficient to produce extreme amounts of pizzas. So, a PPC is curved because it shows the concept of increasing opportunity cost. Let's move on to another example, and now we will get more clarity. So we take a combination of two goods in a PPC. Those two goods could be anything. Now in this example, we are taking cars and mobile phones. Now we are not using number values, we'll just understand it. At point A, where is point A? This is the point A, right? What's happening at point A? All resources are dedicated to the production of cars. So we are producing maximum cars and no mobile phones. At point B, all resources are dedicated towards mobile phones and we are producing no cars, right? Okay. These are the extremes. At point C, now this is the middle point. We are producing a combination of both Y1 cars and X1 mobile phones. At point D, again this is the same opportunity cost concept. At point D, we are producing Y2 cars, that is less cars, and X2 mobile phones, that is more mobile phones. At point E, we are not able to produce at point E. Why? Because this is not within the productive capacity of the economy, so it is unattainable, unachievable. And the point F, which is inside the PPC, this is within the productive capacity, but all factors of production, all resources are not being used, they are underutilized, and this point is idle. Okay, so is it clear now? If you have any question, feel free to comment below. Movements along a curve and opportunity cost. Now, a movement along the curve means moving from one point on the curve to another. Here we are moving from point X to point Y. So we are giving up some producer goods to produce more consumer goods. Okay, so producer goods are equipments or machinery etc. that are used to produce other goods and services. And consumer goods are the goods that we consume and they increase our standard of living. So if we get an MCQ that if we want to produce maximum in the future, should we make more producer goods now or more consumer goods now? What do you think? To increase our productive capacity in the future, we need to make more producer goods. Why? Because if we make more producer goods today, then we'll have more resources in the future. That is, we will boost our production possibility curve. But now let's stick to movement along a PPC curve. So here we are giving up producer goods to make more consumer goods. That is, we are giving up our future capability to increase our standard of living in the current scenario. So going from X to Y, we are making lesser producer goods and more consumer goods. So this is a movement along the curve and it shows opportunity cost. That is, to produce more of one good, we need to give up some of other good. Now let's discuss the shifts of the PPC. The shift can be outwards or inwards. So first let's discuss the outward shift of the PPC. An outward shift of the PPC shows economic growth. It could occur due to improved technology, that is investing more in producer goods now. So when we have increased technology, improved technology, or if the quality or quantity of our factors of production, that is the land, labor, capital or enterprise increase, then our productive capacity also boosts. And if there is better education, better training, workers are more skilled, then they will be able to produce more. So in this case, the PPC will shift outwards towards the right. Okay, so this is a simple shift outwards towards the right. The opposite scenario is shift inwards towards the left. Now shift outwards towards the right was a good thing for the economy. Our productive capacity was increased. But here, this is negative for the economy. It represents a decrease in productive capacity. Okay, So this is not us moving towards idle point. This is a permanent decrease in the productive capacity of our country. So a permanent decrease does not occur because of unemployment or idle resources. If it was that, then that would be a point here, and that would be idle or unattainable point. But this is something serious. This is due to natural disasters, flood, or something like that. War, resources are being destroyed. Pandemics such as COVID, etc. Or resource depletion, that is, we're running out of oil, coal, gas, etc. So all these result in the PPC shifting inwards towards the left. This is negative for the economy, and this is much more severe than resources being idle. So please do not confuse yourself between these two. Resources are idle, that is unemployment, that is not a shift inward, that is just a dot here, and we call it idle or underutilization of resources. But here we were previously able to produce anywhere on this PPC, like we could be producing point A, we could be producing point B. But after these reasons, a natural disaster, war, pandemic, etc., now we are unable to produce at those points. So our PPC permanently shifts inwards. So this is something much more serious than that. So this is it for this chapter. If you have any questions, please feel free to comment below and I will try my best to get back to you. Thank you for watching.